Well, I got started branding. I've been doing this since like high school, like doing websites and stuff. Started off as a senior project to build a website, so that's when I kind of knew that websites in general is what I want to do as far as branding goes. I just always liked drawing and graphic design and, coming up computers, being able to draw and manipulate stuff on Illustrator and make them vector images and using Photoshop was real fun to me. I could do photo manipulation and make it seem like I'm anywhere in the world. I've been doing party flyers since I was like 16, really. And that's when I got started with branding. I met Paper Frank we call it The Block, which is where that clothing boutique I initially told you about was called Soul ATL. Soul was on that block and New Era was on that same block. So he would hang out at New Era a lot, and everybody who worked in those two spaces would really like go to parties together and have parties together and stuff like that. And New Era would also have events, and I would be the only person, because I had a corporate position, to be in these events with like tattoo artists and artists, but I'd be in a suit. And he realized that, and he asked me one day to manage him. I told him I'd do it, and that's kind of where my passion for managing creatives took off. Everything as far as responding to emails from Microsoft and making sponsorship decks to get money for different events to helping him put together Pink Lemonade, which is probably one of the biggest art openings in Atlanta history. For that, I helped him. I did the cover for that, as a matter of fact. I think when I started with him, Instagram-wise, he was like about 3,000 followers. Now that he's out of here. He's in the High Museum and stuff like that, and it feels good to know that I was a part of, that process as well. So I met Evan when he was taking pictures for an event that Frank had with Heineken, and I asked him to take a picture and send it to me, and the picture was so amazing that I had to send it to Heineken, and they loved it too. He works off of me, I work off of him, and at this point now, we built his brand to where he doesn't need me anymore, but I think that's the purpose of what I do, to make sure that people, creatives, young creatives such as you guys as well, get to a place to where you're confident enough to work on your own. I've known Stevie for a while. I used to manage this guy named Zeus, and hopefully you've seen a brand called Trap. He was the creator of that brand, Zeus was, and Stevie was the creative director for those guys. So while managing Zeus, I would talk to Stevie a lot about the direction of the brand, and I realized that he was one of the main driving forces behind that brand as well. So he approached me a couple of years later about managing him and helping him get his creative ideas out the door, and it just ended up working well. I came up with the idea of branding myself as FOLLOW because I started to meet a lot of people, and so that my freelance wouldn't clash with my corporate position, I knew I needed like an alias. So I decided to come out with FOLLOW because it was similar to Spider-Man's Peter Parker, and I consider myself a web slanger, I guess. It was corny at the time, but it kind of just evolved into what it is now. I didn't wear a mask or anything, but eventually it became this and took off a little bit. So people like mysteriousness, so they tend not to really focus on me. I'm more so like the driving machine behind a lot of the brands I work with. And because they can't really see my face and they just see, all right, a guy with a mask, it attracts them in a way to see what I'm doing, but it also helps me to bring attention to the brands that I work with as well. So I've gone to companies about websites and they say, well, we don't know if we want to use you or this dude, FOLLOW, not knowing that it's the same person. And that's when I really realized I was on something as well. So honestly, man, I just want to I want to be known as, it's kind of weird because I want to be known, but I want the right people to know me, pretty much. So if I want to hide in plain sight, and if you don't really know me, then you don't walk up to me. But if you're like an owner or some artist, visual artist, I want you to know me by face and by name. For the future of Atlanta's art and hip hop scene, I think its hip hop scene is doing well. I think it's always going to evolve. As far as art goes, visual art goes, I think the key is to find out a way to make it more monetary. I think we have to find a way for kids to invest in art and understand how cool it is to collect art and to brag about art. And that's something that I'm working on right now.